What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So does Christie support an increase for Social Security reform? How does he feel about this? Now, I've been doing the last couple of days, I've done a report card on some of these different politicians. The reason why I want to focus on Christie today is because he's running for president. And so he just announced that he's running for president. He had a town hall meeting yesterday. And so we're going to take a look at the town hall meeting, and we're going to take a look at what he had to say when it comes to Social Security. But first off, if you guys can do me a favor, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification, and then click all. By clicking all, you'll get notified anytime we post a video. We do daily videos here, so by clicking the bell notification and clicking all, you should be getting updated every day. And so before we get started, I just want to say thank you guys all for your support. It really means a lot. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can at the TEC Show Live. Okay, so let's go ahead and play the clip, and then we're going to actually give him a letter grade. So at the end of this video, we'll do the letter grade. Now, I've had some people in the comments say, well, we can't really grade them because they haven't done anything. Well, this is all we have to go on right now. They haven't changed Social Security. We haven't seen, the last Social Security reform was in 1983. And so politicians have talked about making some reforms when it comes to Social Security. All we can do is hold them accountable for what they're saying. And if you get the right dynamic in Congress, then maybe we can get some type of a Social Security reform. We know something needs to happen in the next 10 years. We just need to have the right politicians in place in order to vote for something like a Social Security increase. If you have the wrong people in place, they're going to be voting for a cut. And so that's why it's very important for us to focus on what these politicians are saying right now when it comes to Social Security. So let me go ahead and play this clip, and then we'll give him a letter grade. Here we go.
And welcome back. We're here with former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, as CNN's AC 360 Republican presidential town hall continues. I want to ask about Medicare and Social Security. If no action is taken, you've talked about this before, Medicare Part A won't be able to pay full benefits in 2031, Social Security in 2034. You've said, quote, we need to examine a whole bunch of options. What options specifically are you wanting to examine?
Well, look, both the two programs are obviously very different. On Social Security, look, I think we do need to look at means testing of Social Security. Again, I'm not talking about if you've got a few $100,000 put away or less. I'm talking about if you're Warren Buffett, do you really need the Social Security check? Like, is Mark Zuckerberg not going to make ends meet without the Social Security check? And I know I said this one time in Iowa 8 years ago, and a woman stood up and said, I paid into that, and I want my money back no matter how much money I make. I get it. But do you want your money back at the cost of the person who won't be able to eat? At the cost of the person who won't be able to pay shelter? We got to make tough choices in this country. And, I came out with a plan 8 years ago, and I remember being on the stage at the Reagan Library debate, and Donald Trump came up to me during the debate in the commercials, which, by the way, if TV really wanted to make money, they could sell pay-per-view for what goes on during the commercials. Who talks to who won't talk to who. Back then, no one would talk to Trump other than me. They all hated him other than me. So he and I would wind up talking a lot. And he came up to me and he said, I heard about that plan you got on Social Security. He said, really smart. And I said, thanks, Donald. And he goes, I'll never talk about it because you can't talk about that stuff, but it's really smart. We have to start talking about it, because if we don't, in 2034, there's going to be an automatic 24% cut in everybody's benefits. And for a lot of people, that will mean they can't pay their rent, or they can't buy food. And we can't have that. So means testing is one of the things. We have to look at a whole variety of stuff from every different person having their ox gored, because we've overspent. And when you overspend, that means you got to give something back up, like we were talking about before. And so we got to look at that, because otherwise it's going to run out of money, and we can't click our heels and hope that, it's going to, no place like home.
Mike Pence, Nikki Haley said they'll only change Social Security for young people in their 20s and 30s today.
Well, that might be the case. When you talk about changing the retirement age, you don't change the retirement age for somebody my age, right? I'm 60, so I'm within eye shot of that. And so you don't change it for them, but you can do a lot of good by changing it for people at a younger age. And what I'd want to do is sit down with the actuaries and say, at each different age point that we would change the retirement age, how much would it save us? And look at that and have a real conversation about it. I mean, look, if you've got 20 or 30 years to plan for it, that should be enough to get yourself ready. If you only have 4 or 5 years, that's not fair to do. So to be clear on.
Okay, so that was Chris Christie, and you heard some of the things he was talking about, means testing when it comes to Social Security. So wealthy people would not be able to receive Social Security. When it comes down to it, we're talking about the 1%, or at least that's what he was talking about, the 1%. So 1% out of all of us, that's not going to do much when it comes to saving money for Social Security or distributing that money to the people who really need it. More needs to be done, and that's why you hear some politicians talking about raising the cap. So anyone making $160,200 or more, they're going to have to start paying into the payroll tax again. We've heard some lawmakers say the cutoff should be $250,000. Other lawmakers said the cutoff should be $400,000 or more. They should be paying back into the payroll tax, because right now, if you make over $160,200, you don't have to pay into the payroll tax anymore. You only pay up until that point. And that's helping pay benefits right now. So you have that money going to Social Security to help benefits, and then you have a trust fund that's offsetting whatever's left over. And because right now, when we're talking about the trust fund is what's running out of money. And so once that runs out of money, you heard him talk about that 24% decrease or cut in Social Security benefits. That's where it's going to come from, because you have a bank of money in the trust funds. And once that runs out, then all you're going to be able to do is take the payroll tax money and use that to pay off benefits, but you're not going to have the trust fund anymore. So that's the danger there. So when it comes to Chris Christie, he did talk a little bit about some type of Social Security reform. He talked about means testing like we talked about. He also talked about making some changes when it comes to Social Security for people who are younger. He wasn't really specific, but I would think that he's probably talking about raising that full retirement age up. That's why he mentioned that he's 60 and it wouldn't be fair to raise a full retirement age up on a person his age. But if you're younger, you have the time to save and invest and all that kind of stuff. So you'll have a retirement set up for you. So let's go ahead. I want to show you. And I haven't done this before, even though I did the other videos. I kind of want to talk just a little bit about how my grading system is working. And this is just me. Now, I want you guys in the comments below to let me know what you think his grade should be. But before we do that, I want to kind of talk about my thought process and how I'm figuring out these grades. So politicians who've created a bill, I would consider that at the A level. Okay, so if you've created a bill for Social Security, a Social Security increase mainly, not just Social Security reform, but a Social Security increase with reform, I would consider that an A. And so in the future, we're going to talk about some other lawmakers, but I'm just throwing names out there like Representative Larson, Senator Bernie Sanders. They've created a bill that has an increase for Social Security. So I would consider that A level. Okay, now B level would be the co-authors or the sponsors of these different bills. They support an increase for Social Security, but they haven't gone to the step of actually creating a bill. So I would consider that B level, okay? Now, reform or protect Social Security, I would consider that a C level, okay? So what I mean by that is if you've heard politicians talk about reform for Social Security or protecting Social Security, they're not necessarily talking about an increase, and most of them aren't talking about an increase. They just don't want to see that cut. They don't want to see that 23% cut in Social Security in 10 years. I would consider that a C level. Now, a D level, politicians that are supporting cuts to Social Security. Okay, they could be raising the full retirement age. That is considered a cut to Social Security. And some other cuts that we've heard out there. Social Security, and we'll talk about Medicare as well. But if they're in support of a cut for Social Security, that would be the D level for me. Now, major cuts or an end to Social Security, I would consider that an F level. Okay, so you have some politicians out there that are talking about doing away with Social Security, sunsetting Social Security, or grabbing Social Security up by its roots. Senator Mike Lee has said that in the past. And so that would be considered an F level. Now, of course, you'll have kind of the in-between. So you might have some lawmakers that it might be a D minus, a C minus, a B minus, an A minus. They might be pushing for something. And let me just give you an example. Let's say you support an increase for Social Security. So you support a plan. However, you're not really aggressively pushing for that plan. And so I would give that a B minus because you're not aggressively pushing, or you've had opportunities to push for a plan, but you really haven't moved forward with it. And so I would consider that a B minus. Now I'm going to look at all the lawmakers right now. So all the especially the important lawmakers, the leaders, the president, people running for president, the senators. I'm going to take a look at a lot of these different politicians, and let me know in the comments below politicians that you want me to take a look at, and maybe I can do it in that order. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at Chris Christie, and we're going to go ahead and grade him. And like I said, I want you guys to grade him as well. So in the comments below, let me know what his grade is, and then I will do an average of what you guys are putting, and then we'll have my grade as well as the overall average grade that you guys come up with. So created a bill. He has not created a bill. Okay. Supports a plan for an increase. He hasn't indicated that he supports a plan for an increase. Now this could change. Okay. Now, if I get more information in the future, he comes out and he says, you know what, I support an increase for Social Security, then I will change the letter grade. So I have no problem doing that. But right now we don't see any type of support when it comes to a plan for an increase for Social Security. Okay. We're going to drop down. Major cuts, he doesn't meet that criteria. He hasn't talked about major cuts. Supports cuts. He does support cuts for Social Security. And when we talk about cuts, we're talking about he's supporting raising that full retirement age. And remember, if you raise the full retirement age up, let's say you raise it up to 70, then you're going to have to raise the minimum retirement age, so which is 62 right now, you might have to raise that up to 65. That will affect a lot of people. Okay, so we don't know how and what he wants to do. We know that he wants to raise, or he at least alluded to the fact that raising that full retirement age for younger people would be something that he would be interested in. So, does he want to reform and protect Social Security? I would say he does want to reform and protect Social Security because he talked about it, okay? So, I would give him a C, but since we don't know when it comes to the full retirement age, are there some other cuts that he's talked about? He at least talked about one cut. So I would give him a C- overall, just based on the fact that he does want to raise that full retirement age up. Now understand this. He talked about means testing. He talked about raising the full retirement age. But guess what? You're going to need to do more than that. And so we could see if he puts a plan together, it probably would have some more cuts in there, because that will not be enough to reform Social Security by itself. So I want to know what you guys think. So what is your grade? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.